Usually when we think about our food, there's there's this expectation of nature.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you bite into a crisp apple or pour a glass of cold milk, and you naturally picture a farmer in overalls, maybe some sun-drenched fields, a little dirt on the boots. You imagine this very traditional, very simple relationship between the earth and your dinner plate.
It's a very romantic image, for sure. I mean, we want to believe our food is tethered to something organic and, timeless.
Right. But when you actually look behind the curtain of modern food processing, that rustic painting is completely covered in code.
Completely.
We are looking at a culinary landscape that is, well, fundamentally run by algorithms at this point. It is the absolute definition of a technological invisible hand.
Yeah, it really is everywhere.
So today, we are exploring how artificial intelligence is secretly running the food industry, changing everything from like how a seed is planted to how a meal is actually served to you.
It's a massive shift.
It is. And our mission for this deep dive is to decode how this invisible technological hand ensures the food you eat is safe, delicious, and consistent. And, to figure out what it actually means for you, the consumer.
Which is the most important part.
Exactly. We are pulling all of this from a comprehensive 2022 scientific review published in Applied Food Research. So, okay, let's unpack this. Before we get into robot waiters and laser-guided cows, we need to establish what kind of AI is actually pulling the strings here.
Right, because that distinction is the foundation of literally everything we are going to discuss today. When most people hear AI, they immediately think of things like Siri, Alexa, or the chatbot on a customer service website.
Yeah, the stuff that sets a timer for you.
Exactly. That is what we call weak AI. Those systems are incredibly useful, but they do not have independent thinking capabilities. I mean, they operate strictly within the pre-programmed rules a human engineer gave them. If you ask Siri a question it hasn't been programmed to understand, it just sort of gives up. But the food industry is rapidly marching towards something entirely different, which is strong AI moving much closer to artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
That's the stuff that can actually learn and adapt on its own.
Yeah.
Like without needing a human to hold its hand.
Precisely. Strong AI systems perceive their physical environment, they learn from it, problem solve in real time, and make independent decisions. And they do this without a human writing a rule for every single scenario.
Oh.
And understanding why the food sector is so desperate for this level of intelligence is crucial. We have a booming global population, right? But the amount of arable agricultural land is, well, it's steadily shrinking.
Yeah, we're running out of space to grow things.
Add the pressures of climate change, water scarcity, pollution. The traditional methods of farming simply cannot scale to feed billions of people. So AI is no longer just a fun efficiency tool.
It's a necessity.
Exactly. It is rapidly becoming the essential linchpin for global food security and, critically, food hygiene.
Which brings us perfectly to where the food actually begins. Because before anything is cooked, baked, or served to you, it has to be harvested, sorted, and kept safe from contamination.
It's a massive logistical nightmare.
Right, so let's start on the farm and the factory floor. I was looking into the dairy industry, and the physical process of milking cows on a massive commercial scale seems incredibly labor-intensive. How is automation actually taking over that physical step?
Well, the industry relies heavily now on automated milking systems, or AMS. In these setups, the manual labor is almost entirely removed.
Wait, entirely?
Pretty much.
Right.
A cow simply walks up to the robotic station when she feels ready. An electronic tag on the cow identifies her specific profile and then dispenses a customized mix of feed.
Oh, that's smart.
But the actual extraction is where the robotics really shine. The machine uses a combination of laser scanners, ultrasound, and optical guidance systems to automatically locate the cow's teats and attach the milking cups.
You're kidding.
Nope. It operates entirely without human hands.
That's wild. It's like a high-tech robotic car wash combined with an automated doctor's checkup, all happening while the cow is just having a snack.
That is a great way to picture it. And what's fascinating here is how this entirely removes the human element from the hygiene equation.
Because humans are dirty.
Frankly, yes. In traditional food processing, the biggest sources of bacterial contamination are actually the human workers. We are talking about stray hair, fingernails, mouth infections, or open wounds.
Gross, but true.
Right. By automating the physical contact, you isolate the raw product. Furthermore, these systems use what is called SOCIP, which is self-optimizing clean-in-place technology.
What does that actually do?
The AI continuously monitors the temperatures, the water pressure, and the chemical levels in the washing tanks and pasteurizers. It runs automated sterilization cycles between milkings without a human ever touching a valve.
Okay, but keeping that raw milk safe after it's out of the cow seems like a whole other challenge, though. Milk is incredibly volatile, right?
Extremely volatile.
Like, it has to maintain a very specific pH value around 6.7, and it needs to be kept strictly between 2 and 4 degrees Celsius. If it fluctuates even a little bit, the bacteria multiply and it spoils fast.
This is where a concept called fuzzy logic becomes vital. Historically, computers think in black and white, a 1 or a 0.
Right.
The temperature is either exactly 4 degrees or it isn't. If the limit is 4.1 degrees, a traditional alarm only goes off once the milk is already in the danger zone. Fuzzy logic changes that by allowing the computer to think more like a human in degrees of truth.
So it's not just, is it hot or cold? It's, is it getting warmer?
Exactly. The AI uses wireless sensors to monitor ambient room temperature, the time the milk has been sitting, and the humidity. It processes all those variables through fuzzy inference to predict that the milk will spoil in an hour if conditions don't change.
Wow, so it catches it before it happens.
Right, it alerts the dairy workers proactively rather than reactively, saving thousands of gallons of product from going bad.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And the processing gets even more granular when we talk about catering to specific consumer needs, right? Like the lactose intolerant market.
Oh, taking lactose out of milk is incredibly complex.
Yeah, it seems like trying to pull a specific thread out of a complex sweater without unraveling the whole thing. How do they do it without ruining the nutritional profile?
It is a very delicate chemical process. To do it efficiently, they use a process called molecular imprinting, or MIP.
Okay.
Imagine creating a microscopic lock made of silica, and the lactose molecule is the specific key. They create a massive fixed bed column of these silica locks.
Just millions of tiny locks.
Exactly. As the raw milk flows through, the lactose molecules perfectly fit into the locks and get trapped, while the rest of the milk passes through completely untouched.
But the flow of that milk has to be perfectly calibrated, right? Like if it moves too fast, the locks probably don't catch the lactose.
You hit the nail on the head. The control of the flow rate, the temperature, and the pressure is a massive mathematical headache. To manage it, the AI uses an artificial neural network, specifically something called a radial basis function model.
Okay, what is that?
Think of it like tuning a guitar string. If you just pull the string tight, it might snap or it might sound sharp. You have to find the exact perfect tension in relation to all the other strings.
Right.
The neural network constantly analyzes the complex web of variables in the milk flow and continually tunes the machinery to find the absolute perfect extraction rate. It ensures maximum lactose removal without destroying the milk's vitamins.
Okay, so we are using lasers to milk cows and microscopic locks tuned by neural networks to trap lactose. That handles liquids. But sorting solid produce on a massive scale feels, well, completely different.
It is a totally different challenge.
Because you can't just run potatoes through a microscopic lock.
Yeah.
How are we sorting millions of fruits and vegetables without humans inspecting every single one?
Well, historically, post-harvest sorting was a massive bottleneck. I mean, a human eye gets tired, and if you miss one rotting potato, the fungus spreads and ruins the entire sack during transport.
Oh, right. One bad apple spoils the bunch.
Exactly. Now, industrial processing relies on machines like the AQS 602. It uses an array of photometric cameras positioned over high-speed conveyor belts.
Just taking pictures of everything going by.
Essentially, yes. The AI analyzes the shape, size, and surface defects of the tubers in fractions of a second, triggering mechanical arms to literally drop the potatoes into different processing lines based on their quality. And it does this at a volume of 3 to 5 tons of potatoes every single hour.
3 to 5 tons an hour is staggering. But, I mean, a potato is relatively simple. What about fruit? A mango or an apple can look perfectly pristine on the outside, but be totally brown and rotten on the inside.
Right.
How does a camera fix that?
For complex fruits, they have moved beyond standard photography and are using X-ray imaging paired with deep convolutional neural networks, or CNNs.
Oh, they're X-raying the fruit.
Yes, the X-ray penetrates the skin of the fruit, giving the computer a view of the internal structure. But an X-ray image of a mango is incredibly messy data. It's full of shadows and background noise.
So the computer has to figure out what it's actually looking at before it can judge if it's rotten.
That's where the neural network steps in. First, it uses a split merge algorithm to basically cut away the background noise, isolating just the image of the fruit.
Okay.
Then it uses a technique called principal component analysis. If I ask you to describe a car, you don't list every single bolt and wire.
No, I'd say it has 4 wheels, doors, and an engine.
Exactly. Principal component analysis does that for data. It boils the complex X-ray image down to its most essential defining traits.
That makes sense.
By comparing those essential traits against a massive database of healthy and rotten fruit, the AI can evaluate the internal damage and even predict the yield timeline with over 80% accuracy.
That is amazing. The bouncer at the club is looking right through the fruit to make sure only the good ones get into your grocery store.
That's a great analogy.
Sorting solid objects, even with X-rays, is one thing. But I want to shift gears a little, because maintaining consistency in complex, live chemical processes like fermentation and baking seems exponentially harder. We are moving from AI as a high-speed sorter to AI as a master craftsman.
Yeah, fermentation is arguably one of the most volatile processes in the food industry. If we look at brewing beer, it is basically managing a living organism.
Right. The yeast.
You add yeast to aerated wort, and the yeast consumes the nutrients to produce alcohol and metabolites. But the variables are constantly shifting. The oxygen content, the ambient temperature, the pitching rate, the health of the yeast itself, these are all moving targets.
And if the yeast gets too hot or doesn't have enough oxygen, it produces off flavors, right? Like you end up with a batch that tastes like wet cardboard or butter.
Those are higher alcohols and vicinal diketones, and they will absolutely ruin a commercial batch.
Oof.
To prevent this, breweries are employing that same fuzzy logic we discussed with the milk. The AI places sensors directly inside the fermentation tanks. It monitors the yeast viability in real time.
So it's watching the yeast do its thing.
Yes. If the yeast starts acting sluggish, the AI automatically calculates the exact mathematical amount of oxygen or heat needed to compensate. It's adjusting the brew's environment continuously to keep the chemical reaction perfectly stable.
And this kind of monitoring is happening before the ingredients even reach the factory, too. I was amazed to learn about how vineyards are using mobile computer vision software.
Oh, the grape harvesting tech.
Yeah. A week before the harvest, vineyard workers literally just point their smartphones at the grape clusters on the vine.
Right, the AI takes that photograph and uses algorithms to evaluate the physical structure of the cluster. Specifically, it uses k-means clustering and Gaussian cross-validation.
Whoa, okay. How does that actually evaluate the grapes?
Think about k-means clustering like taking a massive jar of mixed coins, dumping them on a table, and telling a computer to group them by similarities.
Okay, I'm with you.
The computer naturally pushes all the pennies together because of their color and size, then the dimes, then the quarters. In the vineyard, the AI looks at the photograph of the grape cluster and groups the pixels by similarities, color, spacing, density.
Oh.
It compares those clusters against international agricultural standards to rate the compactness of the grapes on a scale from 1 to 9. It instantly tells the farmer if that specific vine is going to produce a high-quality wine or if it has been damaged by weather.
Turning subjective human observation into hard, actionable data.
Precisely.
But the sensory analysis goes way beyond just taking photos. This is the part that sounds truly sci-fi to me. The e-nose and the e-tongue.
Yes, these are fascinating.
For testing the quality of roasted coffee, they're using an electronic nose. It's a device loaded with gas sensors that are physically designed to mimic the mammalian olfactory system. They grind 5 grams of coffee beans, steep them in water at exactly 93 to 97 degrees Celsius for 3 to 5 minutes. As the specific gas is released from the coffee, the e-nose inhales them. A software program called LabVUW categorizes the exact acidity and bitterness levels based on how those gases interact with the sensors.
And the companion to that is the e-tongue, which is used heavily for evaluating hot drinks like pu'er tea, where age and grading dictate the entire value of the product.
How does a machine taste tea?
The e-tongue uses pulse voltammetry. To put it simply, the machine sends tiny, calibrated electrical pulses through the liquid tea.
Okay.
Different flavor chemicals, like the flavins and the urobigens, resist that electricity in very specific, measurable ways. The machine measures the resistance and creates a chemical fingerprint. It can determine the exact age and quality grade of the tea with incredible precision.
Okay, I have to jump in here and push back on this because I think a lot of people listening might feel a bit unsettled by this part.
I can understand that.
If a robot can taste tea and smell coffee better than a human, doesn't that take the art and the soul out of being a master brewer or a master roaster? Food is supposed to be about human connection, not electrical resistance.
That is a very valid concern. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, The AI is not replacing the art, it is codifying it.
What do you mean?
The master human brewer still creates the recipe. The human palate still decides what the perfect cup of coffee tastes like in the development phase. What the AI does is synthesize massive amounts of sensory data to ensure that the consumer experiences that exact perfection every single time.
Oh,
A
okay.
human tongue suffers from palate fatigue after tasting 20 cups of coffee. An e-tongue never gets tired. It ensures that the soul and art designed by the human creator aren't lost simply because the taster was exhausted on a Tuesday afternoon.
That makes total sense. It's preserving the art at scale.
Exactly.
And speaking of art that requires exact timing, commercial baking has a massive data problem. The entire process of making bread, mixing the dough, proofing it, baking it, takes about 3 hours.
Right. But quality control usually happens after the bread is already baked, cooled, and cut open. That means there's a 1-hour blind spot in the data.
And in a high-volume manufacturing setting, a 1-hour lag is catastrophic.
Oh, I bet.
If your oven is running 2 degrees too hot or the humidity in your proofing room drops, you won't realize the mistake until you have already produced an hour's worth of ruined, unsellable bread.
Which is just throwing money away.
Millions of dollars of wasted raw materials over time, easily.
To fix that blind spot, they are now using automated sensor systems inside the machinery. These sensors instantly monitor the exact active acidity of the sourdough by measuring the chemical off-gassing in real time.
It's brilliant.
They track the humidity inside the proofing case, and they even measure the temperature of the bread's soft center while it is actively baking in the oven. It takes all that live data, feeds it into an expert database, and adjusts the ultrasonic mixing equipment and oven temperatures on the fly.
Yeah.
It is literally fixing the bread before the bread is even finished baking. It is closing the feedback loop entirely. Real-time adjustments eliminate that 1-hour lag, saving massive amounts of wheat, water, and energy.
So we've explored how AI grows the food, sorts it, and perfects the chemistry of cooking it. Now, how does it actually get into your hands?
The final step.
Right. This brings us to the front lines. Consumer-facing restaurant technology and futuristic food customization.
The service industry is undergoing a massive paradigm shift. Automation is rapidly moving from the back of the house, where we couldn't see it, right to the front, taking on roles in reception, guiding customers, and actual food delivery.
The waiter robots. You see them increasingly in restaurants now, these multi-tiered robotic dumbwaiters navigating between tables.
They are becoming very common.
But walking through a busy restaurant is chaos. People are pulling out chairs, kids are running around, waiters are dropping trays. To handle this, the robots use SLAM, which stands for Simultaneous Localization and Mapping. How does a machine navigate that kind of unpredictable crowd without crashing into everyone?
The robot starts with a visualized digital map of the restaurant floor plan. But because the environment is dynamic, it uses an algorithm called Adaptive Monte Carlo, or AMCL.
Adaptive Monte Carlo, okay.
To understand AMCL, imagine you're walking through a completely dark room. You make a guess about where you are based on your memory of the room. You take a step, put your hand out, and feel the edge of a table.
Okay, so you know where you are now.
Right. You instantly update your mental map based on that new information and adjust your next step. The robot is doing that computationally hundreds of times a second.
Wow.
It uses particle filters to estimate its location, scans the room with lasers to detect moving obstacles, and continuously updates its exact position relative to the map server to find the safest path to your table.
The interaction is so futuristic, too. The robot arrives at your table, a small drawbridge door opens, and the tray with your food is automatically rolled out to you.
It's very seamless.
And when you finish your meal, you press a call button, the robot returns, you load your dirty dishes onto it, and press a button that says, Return to Origin, sending it right back to the dishwashing station. And the automation extends to the digital realm of the restaurant, too, doesn't it?
Oh, heavily. Restaurants are leaning into chatbots powered by natural language processing, or NLP. This allows the AI to understand the nuances of conversational data.
So not just rigid menus.
Right. If you type, "Can I get that without the red stuff?" No. The NLP understands you mean tomatoes or peppers based on the context of the menu. They learn with every interaction, offering 204/7 ordering with zero downtime.
That's super convenient.
And from a security standpoint, restaurants are also utilizing biometric tech. Instead of passwords or swipe cards, employees use fingerprinting to access the register, which eliminates employee duplicity or theft. They are even beginning to integrate facial recognition to secure and expedite customer payments.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We aren't just automating the delivery of food, we are changing the physical form of it with 3D printed food.
Yes. Additive manufacturing, or 3D printing, is fundamentally disrupting confectionery and customized foods.
The mechanics of it are just wild. You build a digital 3D model of a piece of food using computer-aided design software. The 3D printing software then takes that digital file and slices it horizontally into hundreds of microscopic layers.
Right.
It generates what is called G-code, a specific set of coordinates and instructions that tells a robotic arm exactly what speed, temperature, and thickness to use as it deposits the food layer by layer.
It's incredibly precise.
Imagine a music producer taking a massive orchestral song, and instead of just hitting play on the whole thing, they slice it up track by track, the bass, the strings, the vocals, and reconstruct it perfectly layer by layer to build the ultimate pristine track.
That's a really great way to put it. And building on that, because the AI has that precise layer-by-layer blueprint, it can physically reconstruct the food with a level of extreme precision a human pastry chef could never achieve.
Yeah, humans just aren't that perfect.
Right. We are seeing major corporations like Hershey develop the CocoJet to 3D print complex chocolate geometries. In Australia, a franchise called Michelle's Patisserie uses in-store 3D printers to print highly detailed, personalized edible messages and sculptures directly onto cakes while the customer waits.
And AI is also stepping in to analyze the food we're about to consume right off the shelf, right?
Yes, using deep convolutional neural networks, the same tech we talked about with the X-ray mangoes.
Oh, cool.
AI can now look at a photograph of a soft drink bottle, analyze the specific ratio of the bottle size to the cap, identify the brand, and instantly calculate the exact nutritional content and dietary impact of that specific beverage.
Just from a picture.
Yep. And this raises an important question regarding the speed of this adoption. Why is all this happening right now?
Yeah, why the sudden boom?
10 years ago, industrial robotics and machine learning required multi-million-dollar investments, confining them to heavy industries like auto manufacturing. But today, the explosion of cloud computing, open-source programming interfaces, and incredibly cheap, highly accurate sensors has caused the barrier to entry to plummet.
So it's just much more affordable now.
Exactly. The technology has been entirely democratized. The systems that used to build cars are now cheap enough to serve us dinner and print our desserts.
It really is an incredible journey when you step back and look at the whole pipeline. I mean, from laser-guided cow milking and fuzzy logic predicting the exact moment milk might spoil, to AI dropping 3 tons of potatoes an hour and x-raying our fruit.
It touches everything.
It really does. To electrical tongues tasting our tea and slam-guided robots delivering 3D printed chocolate right to our tables. The food supply chain is entirely saturated with machine learning. The reality is, if you are listening to this deep dive, you are likely already consuming AI-optimized food on a daily basis without even realizing it.
You absolutely are. And as we look toward the future challenges highlighted in this research, there is one upcoming development that I think is particularly provocative.
Oh, what's that?
The paper details how AI sensors will soon be integrated directly into intelligent consumer packaging.
Like the plastic wrap itself.
Yes. The plastic carton holding your milk or the wrap on your meat will have built-in sensors monitoring the bacterial off-gassing of the food inside. It will predict the exact expiry date in real time and communicate that directly to your smartphone, theoretically eliminating foodborne illness entirely.
Wow, so no more giving the milk carton the sniff test. The packaging just tells you definitively if it's bad.
Exactly. But think about the psychological shift that entails. What happens to our own human instincts when we rely entirely on an algorithm to tell us if the food in our fridge is safe to eat?
That's a bit scary.
If we stop sniffing the milk, if we stop feeling the tension of a fruit to see if it's ripe, are we slowly outsourcing our most basic evolutionary survival senses to machines?
Wow. We started this deep dive talking about the rustic natural painting of a farm and the tension of computer code painting over it. But now it's not just the farm or the factory that the code is rewriting. It's us.
It really is.
We might literally be losing our own internal enos because it's easier to just trust the carton. That is definitely something to chew on. Keep questioning the world around you and the food in front of you until the next deep dive.